Good afternoon. My name is Nemeka Inemchukwu from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and I'm here for the LSA conference. And the title of my paper is ECOWAS Migrants and the Development of Kampala Textile Industry in Aguda, Surulere, Lagos, 1979 to 2015. Okay, basically, my paper is about Kampala textile industry. Kampala, as a textile, is also known as tie and dye and batik. And there have been previous literature on dyeing industry in Nigeria. There have been previous studies done by several people, and in those studies we were able to see that dyeing is an ancient art in Nigeria, and not just in Nigeria but in Africa. Now, dyeing, there were several dyeing sites in Nigeria, such as Ogbomosho, Ogun State. In the north, we have in Zaria, we have in Nsukka in southeast. However, dyeing became a global brand, or dyed materials or dyed clothes became a global brand. Became a global brand in the 1970s. Although there have been other arguments that dyed wears such as tie and dye and batik had been in existence before 1970, because the previous literature have stated how Europeans who came to Southwest were able to export dyed materials, but the industry was not able to survive due to the competition from other industries such as cocoa. For instance, now in the 1930s, during the cocoa protests in Southwest, we're able to see that the cocoa protests affected dyers, and then the coming of European and her culture of dressing, her culture of thinking, her culture of cultural orientation affected indigenous textile industry in Nigeria. Then by 1970s, precisely in 1979, when the ECOWAS protocol was signed in Dakar, Senegal, this ushered in migrants from various parts of West Africa into Nigeria. However, when it comes to the discussion of textile industry, speaking of the aspect of tie and dye and batik, there have not been any literature that has discussed or looked at the impact of these immigrants. Now, these immigrants are divided into 4 clusters. There are immigrants from Gambia, immigrants from Senegal, immigrants from Mali, immigrants from Guinea. Now, we have them in higher proportion. The Guineans are more in number, followed by the Gambians, the Senegalese, and the Malians. We were able to see in our study that the advent of these West Africans into Nigerian landscape brought about the rebirth of textile industry when it comes to the aspect of tie and dye. However, it took a new name known as Kampala. Now, Kampala, as I said earlier, is about a dyeing technique. Is a dyeing technique. Is in various styles. Is in various styles. There is tie and dye and there is batik. But every dyeing process came under the name Kampala. So Kampala industry began to flourish in Lagos, Aguda precisely. Aguda Surulere, Lagos precisely. We saw the advent of Kampala sites. We saw the advent of Kampala sites in Aguda, and this was a kind of rebirth in the textile industry in Nigeria, a kind of rebirth in traditional textile production industry. Now, we were able to, according to field work and various studies, we saw that it was these migrants that resuscitated dyed clothes in Nigeria. Then we also look at We also look at how they were able to attract foreigners into Aguda. How this Kampala textile industry were able to attract foreigners, especially from China and India, United States of America, and Europe. Now, these people, with the advent of Kampala, and again, one thing that made Kampala different from what was existing before was that it was multicolored, and it was more attractive, and it was more complex and more technical compared to the previous dyeing industries that existed even before the coming of colonialism. Now, before the coming of colonialism, dyed clothes were only in two colors. It was either brick red or indigo. But with the advent of Kampala, which was introduced by immigrants from Gambia, Senegal, Mali, and Guinea, it became multicolored. They had various colors of all kinds, various colors and various shades of all kinds. So this attracted foreigners, and it became a popular brand. In fact, we cannot talk about the contemporary rebirth of Adire without acknowledging the advent of, or the impact or the role these foreigners played in the rebirth of tie and dye clothes in Nigeria. So we also looked at how the industry is faced with several challenges as a result of the economic policies that came up in the 1970s, the mono reliance on oil, and how it affected other industries. Now we're able to establish the fact that from 1950s, when the textile industry took a massive how I put it now, a kind of it became a major employer of labor. Now, because of, if we look at it now, there were established industries that produced fabrics, and this production of fabrics was another thing that encouraged the growth and facilitated the rapid growth of textile dyeing in Nigeria. So by 1983, the dyeing industry began to experience decline because of the economic policies and the meltdown that was prevalent in the military regime. Now, there are several things we pointed out as the challenges faced by these people. If you look at the places where these dyeing are done in Aguda and Akisulere in Surulere, you find out that these places are unhealthy for the dyers. They are unhealthy for the dyers. And then we also look at the advent of China into Nigeria, especially in the industry of textile industry, especially in the industry of textile production. We saw the rise of counterfeit textile production done by the Chinese, and this has affected this industry. This has affected the indigenous dyeing industry in Nigeria due to the advent of textile piracy carried out by Indians and China. So in conclusion, the aim of the paper is to discuss extensively the role migrants from these four nations, namely Guinea, the Gambia, Senegal, and Mali, played in the revival of textile dyeing in Nigeria. We're able to also look at how they came into Lagos, and we know that Lagos is a commercial center, and with its pull factor was able to draw not just only West Africans but several citizens across, several immigrants across the world. But the coming of West African immigrants into Nigeria was facilitated by the Protocol of 1979, which was signed in Dakar, and we saw the advent of several Africans into Nigeria, and we saw how they played a role in cultural revival when it comes to textile dyeing industry. So we cannot discuss the revival of adire or dyeing or textile dyeing without acknowledging the fact that, prior to the coming of these people in the 1970s, there was nothing like a massive dyeing industry in Nigeria. But by the advent of these people began to look into textile dyeing, not just as a cultural revival, but also as an economic and social upliftment of Nigeria and Nigerians as a whole. Thank you.